The entire ordeal came to a head at a casual backyard cookout. She was giggling with a drink in her hand and blurted out, "You're not the type I'd ever sleep with casually or keep as a friend with benefits. You're strictly the kind I'd settle down and marry." The whole table went dead quiet that I got up from my chair and walked away without saying anything. By the next morning, my phone was exploding with notifications and missed calls. My girlfriend Susan was desperately texting that I had to understand it was meant as praise, that I didn't buy that for a second. To me, it was the unspoken truth finally spoken aloud. I was the dependable provider, the safe option, the man you choose when you're done having fun, not the one you actually want. It felt like a cold-blooded arrangement where I was supposed to feel lucky to be picked as the long-term retirement plan. I never responded. I brewed coffee and started reevaluating everything. We had been at our friends Mark and Sarah's house. Just a relaxed Saturday afternoon, maybe 8 people around the picnic table. Conversation had been easy, laughs, weekend plans, nothing heavy. Mark had just thanked me again for helping him rebuild his deck the previous weekend. That's what triggered Susan. She was on her 3rd glass of Sauvignon Blanc and wearing that little smirk she gets when she thinks she's about to drop something witty and bold. That's when the sentence landed. The energy drained out of the group instantly. Mark's grin froze mid-face. Sarah suddenly found her plate fascinating. My best friend Liam, sitting right beside me, just slowly shook his head like he couldn't believe it. Susan was apparently the only person who didn't notice the room temperature plummet. She took another satisfied sip, looking pleased with herself. I didn't even glance at her. I simply pushed my chair back, stood up, and walked through the house to the front door and slammed doors. No raised voice. I just left. The silence behind me spoke louder than any shouting match ever could. My phone started vibrating before I reached my car. I let it ring. I drove home, switched it to Do Not Disturb, and spent the evening dissecting the past 3 years in my mind. The tiny remarks I'd let slide, the way she always gushed over her friends' lavish weddings, the little jabs about my boring car or my practical hobbies. Everything suddenly made horrifying sense. What she said wasn't a drunk slip. It was the mission statement of her entire worldview. Come morning, the avalanche of notifications was something to behold. 17 missed calls. Dozens of texts. They began furious. "Are you really going to ghost me like a child?" Then morphed into confusion. "Are you all right? I'm starting to get scared." Finally settling into frantic pleading. "Please just answer. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way." It was supposed to be a compliment. I read every one of them and felt only calm certainty. My first outgoing call was not to her. It was to Liam. "Hey man, got a second?" I asked when he answered. "Bro, are you okay? Yesterday was savage." "I'm actually good," I said, and I meant it. "Tell me what went down after I left." Liam exhaled hard. Complete silence for like a full minute. Susan did that nervous fake laugh and went, "What? He can be so dramatic." Nobody bit. Sarah just stood up and started gathering plates. Mark trailed her inside. It was painfully awkward. Susan tried forcing small talk for another 10 minutes, but the vibe was dead. She finally stormed out looking pissed. "Good," I replied. "That's exactly what I needed to hear." She wasn't sorry at first. She was irritated that her joke bombed and that I'd ruined the party. The remorse only surfaced hours later when she realized I wasn't coming back. I knew the next phase would be damage control in our social circle. Susan was a master at rewriting history and playing the wounded party. I had to get in front of it without turning it into a public mudslinging contest. I needed the plain, unspinnable truth. Sure enough, a few hours later Sarah texted me. Hey, not trying to take sides, but Susan is flooding the group chat saying you lost it over a harmless compliment and she's worried about your mental health. I know that's not how it went. She attached a screenshot from the girls' group. Susan had written, "Ugh, you guys saw it. I told Alex he's total husband material and he flipped out and stormed off. Am I crazy or is that a massive overreaction? I'm genuinely concerned for him." There it was, her polished victim narrative. I was unhinged. She was the caring girlfriend. I texted Sarah back. "Thank you for sending this. Could you add me to the main group chat just for a minute? I promise I'm not starting drama." She did. A moment later I was in. Susan's latest message was another worried girlfriend performance. I waited a beat, then posted one single message. For clarity, what Susan actually said, word for word, in front of everyone was, "You're not the guy I'd hook up with or be a FWB with, you're just the kind I'd marry. I am not having a breakdown and I was not flattered. I'm taking space and would appreciate if everyone respected that." No commentary. No emojis. Just the verbatim quote every person at that table had heard. The chat, which had been full of Susan's friends comforting her, went completely dark. By repeating her exact words, I made her version impossible to defend. Her story sounded almost reasonable in the abstract. Mine, the actual one, did not. The 3 dots of Susan typing appeared, vanished, reappeared. She was clearly scrambling. Before she could fire off whatever salvage she was crafting, I had Sarah remove me that I'd said what needed saying. The record was set straight. I didn't need to stick around for the fallout. My phone stayed quiet the rest of the day. One ice-cold dose of reality had smothered her PR fire. But that was only the social part. The next problem was far more concrete and far more costly. The problem was Italy. For the past year, Susan and I had been planning a 2-week dream trip there. It was mostly her dream, truth be told. We were scheduled to leave in 6 weeks. As the organized one, I had booked everything. Flights from JFK to Rome, high-speed trains, boutique hotels in Florence and Venice, private Colosseum tour, cooking class in Tuscany, the works. All on my primary travel rewards card to rack up points. Grand total just over $8,000. Her half was $4,000. She'd been reimbursing me in chunks whenever her paycheck allowed. She loved talking about money but was terrible at managing it. A quick scan of my records showed she had paid $1,500 so far. Still owed $2,500. Obviously the trip was off now, but a huge chunk of the reservations were non-refundable. Flights had brutal change fees, and 2 of the 3 hotels were prepaid with 0 refund. Tuesday night, I went through every single confirmation email with a highlighter. Noting every cancellation clause and penalty, I built a clean spreadsheet. Columns for booking description, total cost, non-refundable amount. When the numbers were final, the sunk cost totaled $5,800. My stance was straightforward that I was prepared to swallow my own half of the loss. $2, $900 gone. Painful but lesson learned. I was not, however, eating her half too. She still owed her full share of the non-refundable portion, which meant the original $2,500 balance plus an extra $400 to cover the true 50-50th split of the loss. Total due $2, $900. Texting wasn't going to cut it. This had to be official. I drafted an email. Subject line: cancellation and final settlement. Italy trip, Ref IT 2025. Body was courteous but ironclad. Attached the spreadsheet and PDFs of every booking and policy. Explained the $5,800 non-refundable total. Stated I was absorbing my $2,900. reminded her of the $1,500 already paid, and requested the remaining $2,900 via bank transfer within 30 days, with openness to a reasonable payment plan if needed. Kept it purely financial, no emotion, all future communication in writing. Hit send. Then I logged into every portal and canceled whatever still allowed refunds. About $2,200 came back instantly. The rest was lost forever. Susan's reply did not come by email. An hour later, my phone lit up with back-to-back calls. I let go to voicemail. First message was pure fury. How dare you treat me like this? You're extorting me. That was our trip. You don't get to unilaterally cancel everything and invoice me like some thug. Second message was sobbing. I can't believe you're being this heartless. Don't you know what that trip meant to me? To us? You're destroying everything over one dumb sentence. I don't have $3,000. Alex, are you trying to bankrupt me? I listened once, deleted both, and waited. A day later, still no written response. I sent a short follow-up, same subject line, reminding her all discussion must be in email and that absent a reply I would have to pursue small claims court. Mentioning court flipped the switch from emotional manipulation to legal reality. She knew I had every receipt, every transfer record, every terms of service screenshot. She had zero defense. 2 days later, a curt email arrived. Fine. I'll pay. Need 2 months. I replied that was acceptable and proposed 2 payments of $1,450 each. First by October 9th, second by November 9th. She answered, whatever. It was never really about the money. It was about consequences. She had treated the relationship like a pragmatic investment. I was now treating the dissolution with the same clinical detachment, with the social mess contained and the financial one on a payment schedule. I expected silence. For a few weeks, there was blessed quiet. I blocked her phone number but left email open for the payments. I got back to living gym, friends, no walking on eggshells. Liam and I did a weekend camping trip. Breathing freely felt incredible. But Susan wasn't finished. Having failed to reach me directly and having been iced out by mutual friends, she went nuclear. My family. My mom had always adored Susan. Saw her as the outgoing, driven woman who brought her shy son out of his shell. Susan had worked that angle hard birthdays, gardening questions, perfect future daughter-in-law act. Sunday night, my mom called, voice trembling. Honey, Susan just phoned me in tears. She says you two had a terrible fight and you've shut her out completely. She's beside herself. I took a breath. I'd been dreading this but knew it was coming. Mom, we didn't have a fight. We broke up. Broke up? Over what? She said you got upset about something silly she said while drinking. She feels awful. Can't you just talk? I laid it out plainly. Mom, we were at Mark and Sarah's with all our closest friends. Susan announced, drunk, in front of everyone that I'm not the kind of man she would ever desire sexually or keep as a fling. But I'm the kind she would marry because I'm stable. She said it like she was praising a reliable appliance. Silence. Then a small. She said that? Out loud? To everyone. Yes. And when I walked out, her first reaction wasn't remorse. It was annoyance that I embarrassed her. The apologies only started when she realized I was actually done. I forwarded the entire Italy email chain with one line. This is how I'm handling the money. I believe it's fair. Mom read in real time. I heard her scrolling. My goodness. This is so formal. And she really owes you that much. Yes, and she's agreed to pay. Mom, please, I need you to stay out of it. If she calls again, tell her it's between her and me and you won't get involved. Mom hesitated but promised. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. Thwarted by my mother, Susan escalated. She showed up uninvited to my cousin Jessica's engagement party. Big catered venue, whole extended family that my aunt had already called to confirm I was coming solo. Word had spread that Susan was off the guest list. Meanwhile, something nice had happened. Megan, a woman from my hiking group, landscape architect, sharp, funny, zero games, had asked me for coffee to. We clicked instantly. Conversation flowed for hours. We started seeing each other casually. It was effortless. The night of the engagement party, I was in a great mood, new suit, good week at work, drama finally fading. I was chatting with my uncle at the bar when I spotted her. Susan, in a jaw-dropping red dress, marching straight toward me like she owned the place. "Alex," she announced loudly enough for half the room to turn. "We are talking right now." My uncle raised an eyebrow. "Susan, you weren't invited. Please leave." "I'm not going anywhere until my boyfriend listens to me," she declared, eyes locked on me. "We are not together," I said quietly. "You need to go. I'm not leaving until you explain why you're throwing away 3 years over one comment. You owe me that." The entitlement was breathtaking. Before I could respond, a calm voice cut through. "I'm sorry. I think you're confused. Megan." I hadn't even seen her arrive. She'd come with a mutual friend. She stepped up beside me, relaxed, unbothered, but unmistakably on my side. "Hi, I'm Megan," she said with a polite smile. "Alex was just telling me about his new project. I think he's a little busy." Susan's face cycled through shock, fury, humiliation, seeing me with another woman, especially one so obviously comfortable and self-assured, destroyed whatever script she'd prepared of me pining alone. "Who the hell are you?" Susan spat. "Megan," she answered smoothly, smile never faltering. "And you're causing a disturbance at someone else's celebration. Time to go." That was the moment Susan cracked. "You did this to hurt me," she shrieked, finger trembling at me. "You found someone else in a month? Is that all I meant to you? After I was willing to marry you." The word marry boomed across the suddenly silent hall. She had just screamed her transactional philosophy to my entire family. My aunt and uncle were already bearing down. Uncle John reached her first. "Young lady, that's enough." He took her arm firmly and guided her out while she tried, and failed, to jerk free as the door closed behind her. My phone started blowing up. Texts from her, long, unhinged paragraphs. Then my mom's phone. My sister's. She was mass texting my relatives her meltdown in real time. She handed everyone the proof of her instability gift-wrapped. My mom glanced at one message, sighed, and blocked the number on the spot. The rest of the evening was surprisingly pleasant. Family closed ranks around me. Megan charmed aunts and cousins without effort and never once brought up the scene. She simply existed as calm, kind, normal company. The contrast spoke volumes. A week later, the final $1,450 hit my account early, sent from her father's bank with the memo, "Final payment, Italy." No note from her. Nothing more needed. Months rolled by. Life became peaceful and genuinely good. Megan and I were officially together. Open communication, mutual respect, zero mind games. One Friday we were making dinner, wine open, planning a simple coastal hiking weekend. I had a hotel site pulled up on my laptop. A sidebar ad popped up for flights to Italy. I stared at it for a second, thinking about the $2,900 I'd eaten, the most expensive education of my life. Then I looked over at Megan laughing while she chopped peppers, completely at home in my kitchen, no agenda, no performance. The sting was gone. I shut the laptop. I didn't need Italy to feel like I was on holiday. The quiet happiness in my own house was worth far more than any trip we never took. I deleted Susan's email address and the entire folder of receipts that I no longer needed the evidence. It was finally truly over.